I'm curious if you guys know this about adults, like actual adults, mature people. I mean, even children can be mature people. What do adults do when they're wrong and they recognize they're wrong? They recognize they're wrong out loud to the other person they may have wronged, or, just to set the record straight. Sometimes people are wrong in the course of trying to do something. They make a mistake, they're going in the wrong direction. Then what do? Well, again, the mature human being does something we call course correcting. It's not shameful. It actually means that you stop going in the wrong direction, you re-strategize, you recalibrate, and then you go in the right direction, right? Well, you know what happens when we have people in charge who are not actual adults, who are immature babies? Well, I guess, by definition, babies are immature. And I don't want to insult babies. These are just immature, unformed, irresponsible people who cannot seem to take responsibility for their actions. I am, of course, talking about the cabal of people led by Donald Trump who just committed one of the most egregious breaches of national security in American history. Openly, we now know, because of a reporter who was mistakenly included in the group during which they were planning a war strike, and an unsecured channel. This is a debacle. This was an absolutely dangerous thing. We're going to get into it, but I just want to talk about the fact that these people are incapable of admitting they made a mistake. Well, it wasn't a mistake. They were wrong. They were absolutely wrong. Somebody should be fired. Somebody should resign. All of them should be charged with the crime under the Espionage Act and other crimes, right? But no, they're denying it. They're smearing the reporter who was literally there at their invitation. And this is all led by Donald, because admitting you're wrong, in his view, and in the view of my grandfather, is a weakness. It makes you a weak person. And he can't be weak in any way, despite the fact that he's the weakest fucking person I've ever met in my life. So he surrounds himself with people who do the same kinds of things, which means what exactly? It means that they will never change what they do or how they do it. And if we hadn't found out about this, there is no way of knowing how much of this other kind of thing they do on a daily basis, endangering us in ways we cannot possibly fathom. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is great to be here with you. Thank you for joining me. All right. So, not surprisingly, the fallout over the Signal war plans chat thread continues. Today was the second day of congressional testimony on a long-planned hearing on global threats, which today featured the perjurer, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and, oh, look, another perjurer, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, as well as quite frankly, insane and deranged FBI Director Kash Patel. The hearing was held before the House Intelligence Committee, and Texas Representative Joaquin Castro basically called out these people as the liars they are. Watch this.
Thank you, Chairman. Tulsi, you and I came into the Congress together in 2013. And Kash, you and I was serving on the Intelligence Committee when you worked on the Intelligence Committee. And John, you and I are both from Texas, and we both served together on the Intelligence Committee. The idea that this information, if it was presented to our committee, would not be classified, y'all know is a lie. That's ridiculous. I've seen things much less sensitive be presented to us with high classification. And to say that it isn't is a lie to the country.
Pennsylvania Representative Chrissy Houlihan asked FBI Director Kash Patel why it took so long for him to be aware of Signalgate, as they're calling it. Please, can we come up with something else? I'm so tired of Watergate. leaves Watergate in the dust. Everything Donald Trump has left Watergate in the dust. We need a new incarnation of how to describe scandals in this country. And inquired what Patel plans to do about what just happened. Watch this exchange.
Director Patel, I learned just recently that you only heard about this yesterday, which blows my mind since I heard about it 2 days ago, and I'm just a low on the dais, junior chipmunk here. Did you really only hear about this yesterday?
The exact timeline I'm not aware of, but yeah, I think it was yesterday or the night.
And now
before.
That another day has passed,
Actually, it was the night before the hearing.
Now that another day has passed, do you believe that it's now time potentially for the FBI to open an investigation into this?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Because you're the director of the FBI, you don't believe it's appropriate to comment on that?
Because there's a process in place, there's an ongoing litigation, and the National Security Council is reviewing this matter. And I'm not going to discuss any open or closed investigations.
That ongoing investigation, literally, the lawsuit happened today or yesterday afternoon. And the idea that you don't have an opinion on this at this point is frustrating to me.
No, it's not.
Oh, frustrating. That's a word. I'm the director of the FBI, and I have no idea what the FBI is going to do. Well, that's comforting. I mean, it actually is comforting because he's insane, as I mentioned. Okay, so he didn't know. That isn't going to stand him in very good stead, and we possibly just saw another instance of perjury. California Representative Jimmy Gomez asked DNI Gabbard if she still doesn't remember her part in the Stigl war plans chat. Here's her response.
The release of the screenshots that came from that chat group today were a refresher on what happened. As I said earlier, I was not involved with that portion of the chat, so it did not come to my recollection yesterday.
Thank you. So I take that as you stand by your do not recall yesterday stance when you're asked those questions.
I always remember when I'm in a planning session for bombing another country. Maybe that's just me. Is that weird? Later today, Hegseth played more of the same. Here he is on the tarmac in Hawaii. He really does get around, discussing who actually gets to see the nation's war plans.
Nobody's texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans because they know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them every single day. I looked at them this morning. I looked at attack plans this morning. You know who does attack plans and war plans? Men like that admiral right there, Paparo for the Indo-Pacific, or Eric Kurilla, our general in CENTCOM. They do attack plans and war plans. And thank God we have those leaders who do it and do it well, and our enemies know it.
All right, I'm not feeling very comforted anymore. I mean, I'm thrilled that he can throw around acronyms. Good for you. It's very impressive, idiot. I'm actually thinking, looking at these three people, and I think what's her name? Gabbard is a separate entity. She's been a Russian asset for a long time. And she actually is fairly savvy, except she lies terribly. Might want to work on that. But the other two, Patel and Hegseth, are so convinced of their own superiority. I wonder how they walk around this planet so burdened by their arrogance and their condescension and their, quite frankly, abject stupidity. Although that's how their heads are just so empty of anything except their conspiracy theories and their own sense that they are always right, kind of like their boss who's always wrong. But, here we are. This is incredibly dangerous stuff. And we should never listen to a word, not listen, but ever believe a word that comes out of the mouths of any of these people ever again, because they can deny it all they want. Attack plan, war plan. It was a highly classified operation that should never have been made public. It should never have been on an unsecure channel. They put this country in danger. They put our service members in danger, and they don't care. So they will do it again. So we need to be careful and watch out for that. In case you were wondering about the fairness of all of this, White House press secretary, the execrable Caroline Leavitt, made a statement today that explained why all of this is happening.
And this has been the most successful first 2 months of any administration ever, which is exactly why they are doing this. We are not going to bend in the face of this insincere outrage.
Oh my God. Okay, I have a question for you. If she gets paid by the lie, how much do you think it's costing us? Because my God, I mean, it's going to cost us more to pay her salary than it's going to cost us to let Donald go play golf. It's just breathtaking. I know I keep saying that, but she never ceases to amaze me. Just she's a fairly young person, and she is just dialed right in. She actually clarified that Pete Hegseth's text on work plans are not considered classified simply because Pete Hegseth says they are classified. Don't think that's how it works. I mean, that's like, Donald saying, I declassified it in my head. You actually have to let other people know. And that still doesn't excuse your having a conversation on an unsecure channel or not checking to see that everybody in that conversation was supposed to be there. I think what she was saying about classified, he classified it, he declassified it. I think that's what she means. But quite frankly, I don't really think she knows what she's talking about. But I'm going to let you judge. Watch this.
If I can very quickly. In the chat, Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, details F-18s, Tomahawks, so some of the weapons that were used. He details the timing involved for this, all of which occurred 31 minutes before, as he says, F-18s would launch. The DoD manual details classified information as significant military plans, saying that is secret, that's classified. So what about, there are no methods, there are no sources, but that's not what determines what's classified. So what is it about what Pete Hegseth wrote that makes you say this is not classified?
Well, it's not just me saying that, Peter. It's the Secretary of Defense himself who is saying this as well. And he put out a very strong statement earlier today listing all of the things that were not included in that message that he sent to the group.
Oh, he put out a strong statement. Did he say it strongly? I'm wondering. Also, just the sheer look of annoyance on her face that anybody would dare question her or her dear leader. Okay, well, when responding, I just quickly, nothing was classified because there was no specific information except times, the date, the places, the kinds of weaponry, and the targets. Just so we're clear, nothing specific at all. Good to know. Responding to a Fox Day TV question about why launch times on a mission strike aren't considered classified. Yes, my question exactly. Leavitt boiled it down to a matter of trust, which makes perfect sense. Take a look.
So why aren't launch times on a mission strike classified?
Again, I would defer you to the Secretary of Defense's statement he put out this morning. There were various reasons he listed things that were not included in that messaging thread that were not classified. And again, going back to the American public, do you trust the Secretary of Defense, who was nominated for this role, voted by the United States Senate into this role, who has served in combat, honorably served our nation in uniform? Or do you trust Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a registered Democrat and an anti-Trump sensationalist reporter? This president and this national security team are putting our national security and the American people first. We are restoring American strength around the world, and the results of this operation speak for themselves.
Okay, she's grotesque. I just have to say that again, because, oh my God, trust. This isn't about trust. We saw the thread. Jeffrey Goldberg didn't make it up. He was invited into this group. He has the chat. He published it verbatim. There is no question. This is not about trust. This is about facts. I know you guys hate them. You hate them because they never are on your side. I get it. It sucks to be you, but you cannot spin this. And I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You are trying to implicate Jeffrey Goldberg in some way. You're looking for a fall guy. Is it going to be Pete Hegseth? I think Donald's kind of rather fond of him. So probably not, because Donald's doing the same thing as well. He's attacking the reporter who reported the facts. So that's what I'm looking for. I am looking to see how far they go with this incredibly dangerous path they're on, because Donald has had it in for the media for a very long time now, and this gives him a perfect opportunity to take advantage of his own team's massive failures, which are driven by him because he himself is a massive failure. So it looks like stocks took a dive Wednesday, speaking of massive failures, because the White House signaled that Donald, who just can't let a terrible idea go, is set to announce new auto tariffs, sending the S&P 500 down 1.1%, the NASDAQ tumbling 2%, and automakers like GM and Stellantis slipping more than 3%. If that's not bad enough, well, I have good news for you. Tesla plunged nearly 6%, which is now down 33% this year, in part because of the announcement of the tariffs, but also because of consumer backlash over Musk's ties to the Trump regime, which is intensifying, as it should. The expected tariffs could raise a car price by up to $12,200 per vehicle, and these signal more economic pain ahead, with broader tariffs on Mexican Canadian goods coming April 2nd. Yeah, that's going to be a fun week for the market. One analyst warned, quote, Donald remains firmly wedded to a tariff-first policy. There will be multi-quarter period of substantial disruption, unquote. Remember, they've been softening the ground by saying, yeah, there will be a disruption. They're just trying to get people used to the concept. They are not at all preparing people for what it actually means. In the announcement just half an hour ago, this is what Donald had to say.
Will those be immediately effective April 2nd on all countries, or will you focus on the worst offenders?
No, we're going to make it all countries, and we're going to make it very lenient. I think people are going to be very surprised. It'll be, in many cases, less than the tariff that they've been charging us for decades.
Under which you'd remove these auto tariffs, sir, or is this permanent for the rest of your term in office?
Oh, this is permanent, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Okay, cool. So basically what he's promising us, I mean, maybe not intentionally because, again, he's stupid and doesn't know anything about macroeconomics. Cool. Is that the disruption is not a disruption at all. That's going to be our new normal, in which people can't buy cars or food. When asked about Hegseth, Donald defended his defense secretary. Watch this.
Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with this. Hegseth. How do you bring Hegseth into it? He had nothing to do with it. Look, it's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you. And I think that's what we have to, because you use Signal and we use Signal and everybody uses Signal, but it could be a defective platform, and we're going to have to find that out.
It could be a defective platform. So contrary to safe security protocols and statute, we're going to use it anyway. And then blame you guys for reporting the facts because Signal might be defective. And Pete Hegseth, who's a Secretary of Defense, who was essentially running that meeting, had nothing to do with it. It's a hoax. It's a witch hunt. Is anybody else sick to death of this insanity? Why does he keep getting to say the same nonsensical bullshit, which is designed to undermine everything that was good about this country? I'm afraid the answer may well be yes. At a DOJ subcommittee hearing today, Representative, what's her name, Marjorie Greene, called for the full defunding and dismantling, I have things to say, of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, accusing NPR and PBS of being communist. Pick one. Are they socialists? Are they Marxists? Are they Leninists? Are they fascists? Pick one. And she also called them a burden on taxpayers. Take a look.
I think from what we have heard here today, the American people will not continue to allow such propaganda to be funded through the federal government with their hard-earned tax dollars. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting that we give over $500 million to no longer serves the public. It serves a narrow audience of wealthy, liberal elites who are out of touch with everyday Americans. Not only have the times changed and the American people who once needed these outlets can now access the news anywhere at any time, but the content that is being put out through these state-sponsored outlets is so radical, it is brainwashing the American people and, more significantly, American children with un-American, anti-family, pro-crime fake news. We will be calling for the complete and total defund and dismantling of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Ooh, we pay her salary, by the way. And just to be clear, I too refuse to teach my child to count to 5. I don't know what to say other than, I mean, I do know what to say actually, but in response to that clip, it is just unimaginable to me that somebody could take PBS and like Sesame Street and turn it into some kind of evil. Also, Marjorie, way to stand up for your rural base, because guess what? A lot of those people don't have access to the internet because of you. The hearing, of course, was titled Anti-American Airwaves, Holding the Heads of NPR and PBS Accountable. Nice. And it featured testimony from NPR CEO Catherine Mayer and PBS CEO Paula Kerger, who pushed back on repeated GOP attacks, claiming that networks spread disinformation and, as Green said, cater to, quote, wealthy white urban liberals, unquote. Green, who chairs the DOJ subcommittee, because that's actually a good use of her time, also accused the networks, and this is vile, and I hope somebody sues her, for defamation of, quote, grooming and sexualizing children, unquote, and misusing DEI programs, while Donald himself called them a waste of money just one day earlier. Green also declared that the organization was responsible for contributing to the national debt, and Representative Greg Casar was quick to correct her. Play the clip.
How many millions of dollars a month do taxpayers spend for Daniel Tiger to play golf?
I have no idea.
The answer is none.
Okay.
To your knowledge, has Miss Piggy ever been caught trying to funnel billions of dollars in government contracts to herself and to her companies?
That's a silly question.
Well, the answer is no. How about Arthur the Aardvark? Has he ever fired independent government watchdogs who are investigating his companies? The answer is no. Madam Chair, I'm told we're here to talk about government efficiency, but Daniel Tiger has not blown $10 million of taxpayer money to play golf with his friends, but Donald Trump has, just at the beginning of his administration. Miss Piggy hasn't been caught funneling billions of dollars in government contracts to herself, but Elon Musk has. And Arthur has not fired independent government watchdogs investigating him and his companies, but Elon Musk has fired at least 5.
Well, that's a relief. I was a little worried about Arthur. But, that's great because that's how you do it. You mock them and make a point that actually lands. These people are vile. Let's put it into some context, shall we? Do you know how many children have learned how to read, not read necessarily, but they've learned the alphabet and their numbers through Sesame Street and other programs like that? Well, they don't want our children to have any kind of education whatsoever. So I guess that's objectionable. But it's not just that. In fact, it's not mostly that. What they object to is that shows like Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and The Electric Company and on and on and on, the Backyardigans, what have you, they teach our children how to be decent, kind, open-minded human beings with empathy who care about other people, even if they look different or sound different or speak a different language. I learned how to be an empathetic human being by watching those shows when I was a kid, except not the Backyardigans because I was older when that was a thing. But seriously, that's how you learn how to be kind if you're not lucky enough to be surrounded by people who are kind. That's what they object to because they don't know what it's like to be an empathetic, kind human being. And they want to eradicate that in this country. So let's not let them do that. So in news, in actually good news that I hope becomes more frequent, Democrat James Andrew Malone pulled off a major upset in a GOP stronghold, flipping a Pennsylvania state Senate seat that hadn't gone blue in 136 years. I'm going to take that as a good sign. His narrow win over a Republican who was aligned with Donald, Josh Parsons, comes as Donald's chaotic first months back in office have sparked backlash even in red suburbs and farm towns. Malone credited the win to that very chaos, saying, quote, "He's chosen to do it the way he does everything. Throw a brick in the basket and see what comes out," unquote. That must be a Pennsylvania thing because I have never heard that phrase before in my life, but cool. The victory narrows Republican state Senate lead to 27 to 23 and gives Democrats new hope amid national infighting. As Senator Vince Hughes put it, quote, "People have anger, but they have anxiety too. And last night's election sends a message," unquote. Now, nothing is a sure thing. And this does not mean Democrats just have to sit back and let things happen. No. But what this tells them is that we have an opportunity here, and they need to do something that Democrats, as far as I'm aware, have never done. We need to fight for every single seat we can at every level of government. If there is one district, one local school district, one congressional district that does not have a Democratic candidate, we are failing. We need to get on that immediately and take this as a very good sign. More good news. I know, shocking. Today, the Supreme Court upheld a Biden-era regulation requiring background checks and serial numbers for ghost gun kits. This was a 7-2 decision authored by Justice Neil Gorsuch. Play the clip.
This stems from a regulation that was put in place by the ATF that considered ghost gun kits to be classified just like any other gun. The government said these kits, which can be put together in 30 minutes or less, really, were a firearm under the Gun Control Act. Now, the kit sellers, on the other hand, said a kit of 5 or 6 or 7 pieces is not a weapon in itself. But in the majority opinion, Gorsuch wrote that the law embraces and thus permits the ATF to regulate some parts of weapon parts kits.
All right. This is important. Police submissions of ghost guns found at crime scenes increased from 1,600 in 2017 to over 19,000 by 2021, prompting stronger regulations. That is the kind of insanity that could only happen in this country that loves its guns so much more than it loves, well, women in particular. The Biden administration's 2022 rule required ghost gun kits to be treated as firearms, mandating serial numbers and background checks. While Gorsuch emphasized technological advancements making home-built firearms more accessible, Justice Clarence Thomas, who not surprisingly dissented, argued the law did not cover incomplete weapon parts. He, of course, was in the minority along with the also egregious Samuel Alito, both of whom should have been impeached and removed from the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court because they are both so incredibly corrupt. And in instances like this, they prove that they don't care about the Constitution of the United States of America, and they certainly don't care about Americans. Also today, a federal appeals court ruled 2-1. Wow, more good news. To maintain a temporary block on the Trump regime's use of the Alien Enemies Act to expedite deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members. The D.C. Circuit sided with U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, who had previously halted the policy amid legal challenges and questions over whether the administration defied his order by allowing 2 deportation flights to proceed during an emergency hearing. Judge Karen Henderson warned that lifting the block could result in plaintiffs being, quote unquote, exiled to a land that is not their country of origin, citing allegations of torture. In dissent, a judge, Justin Walker, who was appointed by Donald, argued the case should be heard in Texas. Yeah, I know why. And said national security concerns outweigh the plaintiff's claims. Well, if there were national security concerns, I would probably still disagree with you, but there aren't. The Trump regime is expected to appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court, which of course is not a surprise. But quite frankly, if the ruling had gone the other way, the plaintiffs would have appealed to the Supreme Court. And now we all get to hold our breaths because there is literally no knowing what the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court will do. Because as we've learned, much to our horror, on some occasions, they can make the right decision, as they did today with the ghost guns, but then they go ahead and just completely dismantle the constitutional order. So who knows? As the Trump regime vows to eliminate FEMA, the agency itself is already in turmoil. Homeland Security Secretary, cosplayer Kristi Noem, has vowed to eliminate FEMA, as stated in a cabinet meeting on Monday, and internal discussions are underway to dismantle the agency. Let's see. Why? Disaster assistance, grant funding, and hiring have largely stalled, affecting FEMA's ability to prepare for hurricane season, which is not that far away. A March 2025 memo mandated that most FEMA employees need direct approval from Noem's team for contract renewals. This affects 74% of FEMA's workforce, including critical disaster response staff. Acting Administrator Cameron Hamilton has also submitted a plan to reduce further to reduce staffing. Previously awarded FEMA grants and disaster assistance are frozen while the agency waits for guidance on complying with Donald's executive orders limiting funding to sanctuary cities and immigration programs. States, localities, and nonprofits, including fire departments and disaster relief agencies, are unable to access reimbursements, which means they can't pay for anything. In February 2025, 4 FEMA employees, including the chief financial officer, were fired after approving $80 million in grant payments to New York City for migrant sheltering. How dare they? DHS accused them of circumventing leadership, leading to a chilling effect among FEMA staff afraid of job loss over financial decisions. Florida Reps Jared Moskowitz, a Democrat, and Byron Donalds, a really bad Republican, by the way, introduced a FEMA Independence Act in March of 2025, proposing to separate FEMA from the Department of Homeland Security and make it a cabinet-level agency, which is actually a really good idea. And the aim here, of course, is to streamline disaster response amid increasing natural disasters. Now, the question here is why? What possible reason could there be for dismantling the Federal Emergency Management Agency? This is something people depend on in the worst natural disasters: hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, mudslides, fires. Why? Noem said something nonsensical about it would help with national security, as if you care about that. But how does making it impossible to render aid to victims of these natural disasters help us to become anything but weaker and more vulnerable? They can't answer that question, and they're not going to. But I'm pretty sure, much like the Department of Education, they're going to use an excuse that FEMA is not a highly functioning agency. So instead of fixing it, which would cost money, and that would make Donald mad, we're going to get rid of it entirely. And then who knows what they're going to do with that money? Although I have some ideas. All right. That brings us to tonight's emotional support moment, which I'm going to narrate. Okay. You don't have to tell me. It's your business, but just wondering what your plans are for tomorrow night. Because if you're not doing anything and the sky is clear where you are and there's not too much ambient lighting, you might want to look up, because astronomers are watching the star system T Corona Borealis, which may explode as early as Thursday, March 27th, creating a celestial event visible to the naked eye, which is really, really cool and rare. This nova only erupts every 80 years, and it was last seen in 1946, which makes me feel lucky to be alive. If it explodes, it could shine as bright as the North Star, also known as Polaris. And if it doesn't happen this week, the next likely window is November 25th or June 26th. So how do you see this thing? Well, when? Around 3 hours after sunset, look east from wherever you are for the Corona Borealis constellation. I'm pretty sure there will be lots of information about this on the internet. This is a curve of 7 stars between Hercules and Boetes. Use the Big Dipper's handle. I'm being such a nerd. I apologize. To trace an arc to Arcturus, and then look halfway between Arcturus and Vega. I promise you, there will be star charts that you can look at online. This is extremely cool, and I'm hoping it's not going to be cloudy here, because that would make me sad, because I'm really looking forward to this. And I hope you are too. And thank you for indulging me in that, because, yeah, it's awesome. nature is awesome. And so is astronomy, which is nature. Okay. Let's get to your comments. Just me, thank you so much as always. Joining us from Australia. Comment. Shallow end of the gene pool doesn't even come close. These guys haven't even dipped their toes in the water. No, I don't even think they've met a drop of water, quite honestly. It is quite, I mean, look, I guess, like attracts like, maybe. It's quite, well, look, Donald can't surround himself with people smarter than he is, so, which is basically almost everybody on the planet. So it's a very tiny pool from which to draw. Regina, thank you very much. That's great. Comment. They're all also the dumbest bunch on the planet. We have to stay smart and strong. Yeah, I think that's honestly, that's how we're gonna get through this, right? We're so much smarter than, I know this is saying practically nothing, but we're so much smarter than they are, and we're so much stronger than they are. They're extraordinarily weak people. Like, people who lie all the time they do not have strong characters. They're hiding something, that's for sure. So we can outwit them. And we have mockery. It's like one of my favorite weapons to use against them because, oh my God, they're so mockable. Aaron, thank you very much, Aaron. Comment, but Hunter Biden's laptop. Yeah, no kidding. Cheers from Australia. Thank you for being here. Yes, Hunter Biden's laptop. I mean, that's not going away any soon. They're going to keep blaming that. They're going to blame Biden for everything. I'm curious to see how long that's sustainable. They'll give it a really good shot, that's for sure. Nancy, thank you as always. Question: when is the Karma bus coming for this group of dangerous liars? The Karma bus is running late. It's running late by a few decades. I don't know. Maybe it missed the stop, and we have to wait for it to circle around again. Remember what that's like? Whoa, it's very frustrating. You missed the bus by this much. Let's go all the way around the loop. That's sort of how I feel on an almost daily basis. But hopefully the Karma bus is still on its way. Because something's got to give. That's for sure. Where's your aloha? I do not know, but thank you very much. Oh yeah, comment. So gross. Pete Hegseth's here in Hawaii. That's like pollution coming to your beautiful state. I love Hawaii so much. You have no idea. Ugh. He encapsulates the worst of the worst Americans that we have been subjected to since the U.S. stole our country. Yeah, no kidding. And that's saying something, because there have been a lot of horrific people, horrific Americans who have desecrated your home, which I love. Swinny Simon, thank you very much for that. That's fantastic. Comment. Oh, comment. Thanks for being you. You're welcome. I think I'm stuck with it. Question. Can you put in a good word so I can get in one of these small green signal chats? Yes. Deutschland. Fire. Sorry. Flame. I never know. Love your human insights. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I'm on Signal. So I'm happy. Next time I am planning a strike against a country. You will be the first to know. I have to up my emoji game. I have to be honest with you. I use like 4 emojis. It's very boring and uncreative of me. But, I'm working on it. I have incentive now. Michael, question, are tariffs a distraction? No, actually not. But like things like this Signal debacle, this national security nightmare that was intentional and completely, in my view, treasonous, are the point. The tariffs too, because it's going to harm our economy grievously, just as our national security has been harmed grievously. So those are really important issues. But what they do is they are also distractions. So who knows what else is going on while we're paying? And this is the problem. These are things we absolutely need to be paying attention to. But that doesn't mean they can't still be doing other things undercover. So, like, where do you look? We have to look here right now. That's why the whole thing with things grinding through the courts is so frustrating because it takes way too long. Go for facts. Wow. Thank you so much for all of those pounds. Very much appreciate it. Comment. This administration is insane. Yes, I heartily concur. Support everything you do. Thank you. And congrats on 350K. Yeah, thanks. That's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. Just let you guys know, last night after the show, we hit 350,000 subscribers at Mary Trump Media channel, and it is largely because of you. So thank you for that. It's very exciting, actually. It feels like a sea change in some ways. Nalomi, question. I wonder who'll be voting Marjorie Greene into office as a senator against John Ossoff. I have to admit, that would be so much fun for me because John Ossoff, and again, this isn't really saying much because I think a toddler could run circles around her, but John Ossoff is a very, very smart man. And I think he would enjoy humiliating her on a daily basis. And I think it would become painfully obvious to anybody paying attention just how deeply damaged she is, because she's a true believer. That's not an act. That's actually who she is. Yeah. Yikes. Melon Frolic comment. Just had a message from Hegseth. Okay. I hope you guys are taking notes. The U.S. is going to invade Greenland at 3:51 tomorrow. 1,003 Hershey bars have been distributed. I don't think that's going to help them with the phalanx of polar bears that are awaiting their arrival. So JD Vance, I have some Monty Python advice for you. Run away. Actually, no, I take that back. Stay. Look those polar bears in the eyes and tell them that you're taking their country away from them. Good luck. Actually, no. Elizabeth, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Question, is Donald the luckiest criminal? Comment, and I love you, Mary. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. He's the luckiest, most recidivist of the criminals. I was actually talking to a friend of mine today about how one thing I will never figure this out, and it will drive me crazy forever. Since 1973, well, that's not true. For his almost entire adult life, and even some of his childhood, everything has broken this guy's way. And it kind of drives me crazy because it's still happening. And why? Why? He's just the most horrible human being on the planet. It is a little crazy making. Nanner, comment, please, Wisconsin, do the same. Yes. There is a Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. It is to determine who gains control of the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. Right now, the Democrats have a 4-3 edge. That last election was a very hard-fought battle. This one is even more so because Elon Musk is funding the Republican candidate. But for a change, we actually have some billionaires doing their part. J.B. Pritzker and George Soros are putting a fair amount of money into this race as well. Good, because you can, and they do. So let's not, break glass in case of emergency time, guys. Kathy, thank you very much, Kathy. Comment, last night I heard him say that today he would make a business announcement bigger than anything this country's ever seen. Still waiting, LOL. Yeah, well, no, but he did. He did. You guys didn't hear it? He's declared himself the fertilizer president, which I just made Mercedes sick. My apologies. But he said it, and I think it's important because it tracks. And it's one of the few honest things he's ever said, because, and this is what I wouldn't say this because this is not a phrase I use, but my grandfather would say this. He's a piece of shit. So, it's appropriate. I would travel nurse. Comment, Elmo is going to kick her ass. Not sure whose. Oh, wait, like Elmo, the monster Elmo? Some people call Elon Musk Elmo. I got confused. Sorry. Like the actual Elmo. Yeah, they're all, oh my God. Elmo? Have you seen Miss Piggy throw a sidekick? Oh my God. They are in so much trouble. Do not mess with the Miss Piggy. She can do it in a tiara and heels, kind of like Ginger Rogers. Melissa, thank you so much for that. Comment, congrats on 350K. Thank you. We're very excited about that. I listen every day. More need to hear you. Thank you for all you do. Well, you're welcome. And it's so awesome that you're here every day because we really, really appreciate that because, we try. We try really hard. And that makes us happy. All right. Some people to thank. Gary, Canadian in the house, super sticker. Go Canada. And thank you very much for that. That's very generous of you. Cindy, super sticker. Thank you as always, Cindy. That's fantastic. Sheila, another super sticker. Thank you very much. More super stickers coming. Full Circle Counseling. Thank you. That's fantastic as well. Deborah H. Phenomenal. Very much appreciate it. Marhig, thank you very much. Super Pup, thank you very much. Comment, congratulations. 350K plus subs. Yeah, I know. It's awesome. It's very awesome. Donna, another super sticker. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Annie, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you as well. You guys rock. Becky, another super sticker. Thank you, Becky. That's great. Mary, another super sticker. Thank you. Thank you very much. And just me again. Thank you. That's very generous. Fertilizer President emoji. Lots of them. Yeah, that covers it. All right, guys. That does it for us tonight. So everybody watching on YouTube, we so appreciate your being here. Even those intrepid people coming from Twitter, we appreciate that as well. And of course, everybody from my Substack who's watching the live stream, love having you here. Want some more. We want more of you here, and we want everybody here to go over to Substack. So check it out. It's called The Good in Us. It's free to subscribe. It's just a totally different kind of vibe over there, but same kind of like-minded people. So it's really awesome. And of course, everybody listening to the podcast, we appreciate that. We're trying to grow that as well. Everybody leaving comments. Thank you to all of our super stickers. Everybody giving us gifts. Again, we promise our mission is to keep growing, and so we can keep giving you the news that matters and presenting you the facts and giving you a perspective to help make sense of all of this. Like, one of our goals right now is to connect dots because otherwise it just seems like this kind of disparate and unrelated chaos. And I promise you it's not. We just have to be really careful how we're looking at everything unfold. To our awesome moderators who keep this place somewhere I certainly want to be. And of course, to my extraordinary team. I keep promising to come up with new adjectives and I keep forgetting. But I think extraordinary is a pretty good word because they're extraordinary. And, again, I want to say this repeatedly because it's true. You guys know what it's like to wake up in the morning and see all of the news that broke overnight or broke over the weekend. It is a Herculean task, not only to stay on top of it, but to make sense of it and to figure out what the most important things are. And they do that every day. So thanks, guys. All right. I think it's Wednesday. Oh, wait, it's Wednesday. Yeah. So that means tomorrow's Thursday. So Nerds at Noon. And we've got, again, videos dropping every day. We had another video today about the continuation of everything that's happening with this national security debacle. You want to check that out. And of course, Mary Trump Live, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. So I will be here tomorrow night. And in the meantime, until I see you then, please, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.